Hello, welcome to Research Development's Proposal Development Workshop. This is our ninth session on proposal graphics, planning and navigating for success. My name is Vince, and I have been working with proposal graphics for almost 3 years here at ASU's Knowledge Enterprise, where we strive to serve as a resource to prepare faculty to submit high quality, highly competitive proposals. Prior to, my background consisted of 6 years working as a graphic designer in higher ed and private companies, mostly in marketing and sportswear. If you can please put in the chat, when you hear the words proposal graphics, what do you think of? Feel free to list any emotions you may have as well when you hear those words. I see some responses. Let's see, start from the top and working my way down. Okay, complicated figures, charts, convey ideas, messy lists, elevating proposal success, charts, informative, stormtrooper for one mentor in grad school, visual storytelling, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Okay, yeah. So got kind of a mixed backer. Mostly like we're sort of familiar with it, which is good. I see some familiar words and some key elements we definitely will be discussing in this PowerPoint. So that's good to hear. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get started here. So here's just an agenda to keep things on track. We have answers to why are graphics a good way to enhance a proposal, what qualities make graphics successful, why is it essential to bring in a designer on proposals, examples to enhance graphics, how to empower research development professionals, and also at the end, I'll have some time to answer any questions you may have for me or have in the chat. I'll go through the chat at the end. Also, we'll be emailing this out to everyone, and you can also, my contact information will be on there as well. You can contact me directly as well if you have any more questions that we didn't cover in this PowerPoint. All right, so the first topic, we'll discuss some key items on enhancing so that you stand out amongst other proposals that are submitted to sponsors. And before we discuss why graphics are good for enhancing proposals, we must discuss some of the different kinds. There are charts and graphs, which some of you mentioned in the chat. There's illustrations, there's infographics, there's photography, and these are all commonly used in proposals. To choose, however, you must know what type of content you have. I would say if you're working with data, you definitely want to use charts and graphs. You have a process, meaning if you're going from like a point A to point B, definitely an illustration may be better to use. Also use photos when you want to show the space or people you are working with or in. The use of graphics requires time to ensure success. I like to use the same kind of like for everything I do with my life, pretty much. Proper planning prevents poor performance. So you want to always have an early deadline. You want to make sure the changes you are making to the graphics are beneficial to the proposal and aren't just your personal preference. So for instance, you want to make sure like the words and the data is correct before having to change something from blue to purple. You want to make sure, are you telling a good story? Introduce graphics in your summary and the narrative if needed. Also, you want to make sure like if something has some symbols being used or different color codes being used, there's going to be a key or a legend somewhere at the bottom or to the left of the graphic to determine what a color or symbol may symbolize to the reader. If you have a good graphic, you can use it for longevity. Initial organization of a graphic helps you write the proposal. It will allow you to not write so much in the narrative, but to use the graphics to illustrate the process along the way. Knowing how to space things in a creative way gives your readers some breathing room so they are not overwhelmed. It is important to practice good layout skills and use other examples as reference, such as magazines, newspapers, and journal articles. Often these will also show good balance, continuity, hierarchy, and contrast. If the graphic is well thought out and easy to read, then it will help create the mood to showcase how good of a writer and how great your ideas are, which will help persuade the sponsor. The reviewing team may be looking at a large amount of proposals, and sometimes so it is important to implement graphics into your narrative to capture the reader's attention. Here are a few takeaways from this first section. So you kind of want to know what kind of graphics you're working with. Again, if it's something with data, you definitely want to use charts and graphs. If you're showing a process from a point A to B or a beginning to an end, definitely show an illustrative type of graphic. If you're trying to describe a space or an environment, definitely bring in photography into your narrative and use those as your graphics. Also want to make sure you do it in time for iterations that may come up. Also, it's good to plan your narrative around your graphic because it kind of helps you think through the proposal later on and just how to make your key points stand out. And you want to bring in those graphics to kind of implement and just kind of reintroduce those to the reader and kind of grab their attention as well. Okay, so here we're discussing what qualities make graphics to be successful in proposal. Graphics enhances the viewer's focus on the page, and then they help to convey information quicker as well. So first, it's really important to read the rules. There are sponsor-specific rules for submission that can affect graphics, such as what font and the font size. So be sure to share this information with all parties that may be working on graphics. Also, you want to make sure to read the rules just for your own purpose, because also some of those fonts apply to the whole narrative in your proposal as well, not just the graphics. Don't make the mistake of having good graphics turn into a pixelated disaster. Be sure to export those files as high res to place into the document. These usually are in PDF and sometimes PNG format. High-res PDF graphics are often called vector format in the design world. The mood affects the viewer's digestibility of your content. Colors have meaning behind them, such as red usually means importance or an error or a negative, and green may mean calm, positivity, or growth. In your proposal, be sure that you're aware of reader's blindness, but also use color to your advantage in your graphic. Sometimes the reader may print out pages in black and white, so you want to make sure the colors being used offer some contrast variation so they can still show up in black and white as well. Again, be sure to read the rules from the sponsor and use clear, sharp fonts for best readability, unlike this example I'm showing you here. Graphics can be very small to fit on a page, so it's best to use Arial or similar fonts that is very easy to read in smaller sizes. If the graphic is good, then it can easily be used elsewhere, such as a presentation or a cover, or other means later that you may come back as a reference. Sometimes graphics are used as building blocks or a template for a proposal you may be working on later on in the future. Here are some takeaways. So you definitely want to communicate any rules with the team members working on graphics because it may affect the work. You want to make sure the fonts are accepted and the right sizes there so it's going to be easily read. If the font is too small, like they're not going to like read it and they may like just, skimp over it. So it's kind of been a waste of time for the graphic. It doesn't serve a good purpose. You definitely want to bring in colors that may be beneficial to the narrative. Depending on the mood or the type of proposal you're doing, you may want to introduce more greens or blues or purple if it's healthcare related or something like that. But you also want to be careful and make sure those colors have some contrast because a lot of times, sometimes they may print out pages and they're not going to use color usually, so they're going to print in black and white. So you want to make sure you have high contrast colors. Also be aware of blindness as well. Also, innovative graphics to help longevity multi-use. There are many times where a graphic may be used, and then later on, a teammate may come back, submit another proposal, then we relate it. They may use the same graphic as a template, change some wording around to enhance it, but it's good to have graphics be good and well built because you can definitely use them later on in the future. Okay, so you may be working on a very large, complex proposal, and it could be beneficial to bring in a designer like myself. Here we discuss not only why is it essential, but also how to hire talent. This may be a new process for you to hire specialized creative talent to be a great asset in your proposal team. Okay, so how to hire talent. Hiring talent can be difficult, especially with a specialized skill. Sometimes we need specialized knowledge or experience to uplift our proposals onto the next competitive level. In research development, we work with a variety of external partners who augment our team's skill sets. We regularly search information of anyone who asks. Be certain of how much you want to spend on consultation. Hourly and project rates can vary, and it's in your best interest to be very specific regarding the work to be performed. You must contract with these individuals or organizations using your own departments or school process. However, if you are working on a proposal with an award of over $1 million a year, feel free to reach out as I will be the main person supporting you with graphics. If you are under the award amount threshold, still feel free to reach out to me and I can give you some resources to help you along the way. All right, so there are certain skills you want the designer to have, which will help during the working process. You want them to be detail oriented. Where there being so much information to collect and keep, you want to be sure the talent can think past the obvious and more into the specifics that need to be captured. You want to be organized. With proposals having lots of moving parts and lots of members involved at times, it is important for the talent to keep things in order and easily accessible. Customer oriented, of course, basic communication skills in order to manage the process and keep things moving forward. Design savvy and Illustrator. Proposal graphics are usually created with illustrative techniques and need high-res vectorized file output, which we discussed earlier. You also want to provide specifics on the project. It is very important to give the talent all the details they need to be successful. Also ask for their past experience and examples to get an idea if they are the right person you would like to work with in your proposal. Talent can vary, like sometimes there may be more illustrative, maybe more of a photographer base. There's different techniques with design, so you want to make sure you have the right talent for the project you're working on. So time is of the essence, especially for proposal submission. With that being said, you want to provide 2 deadlines, one for proposal submission and one for graphics complete. You want to plan time for meetings to scope work and have revisions as well. Generally, I meet with teams to discuss graphics 2 to 3 weeks before sponsor submission date. Graphics can have anything from 0 to 3 iterations needed, so it's important to build in the time to do so and communicate that with the designer. Please keep in mind also a change can take a designer 24 to 48 hours to complete based on what's needed, and keep in mind they may also be working with several other proposals from different sponsors at the same time as yours. All right, so the designer cannot create your ideas. You must provide the designer with what's needed to succeed. Feel free to provide examples on what needs to be achieved. Feel free to bring in examples for inspiration. The designer needs the exact wording or text that will be used in the graphic to be successful. One example that we will get into later are organizational charts. So the designer we can't guess names or roles and figure out where to place people. We can only visually enhance the information and provide feedback if things are unclear. When meeting with a designer, bring in drafts, content, inspiration, so that collaboratively you can develop a game plan for graphic success. So here are some takeaways, skills to look for with a designer. You want to be detail-oriented, organized, customer-oriented, design segment illustrator provides specifics. You also want to provide 2 deadlines, one for proposal submission and one for graphics complete. Again, I like to meet with teams usually 2 to 3 weeks before the proposal deadline, sometimes even sooner, depending how big the proposal may be, just to build in that window of time for changes and iterations. Also, you want to provide content. Designer can't read your mind. They need to be exact text and words. And also feel free to bring in inspiration as well that you may find from other proposals or things that we see online. Those can be helpful for the designer as well to bring in some content and some more inspiration to get a game plan going for the success of the proposal. All right, so here we'll go over a couple of examples and what I did to enhance the mockups I received for proposals. Okay, so on the left was the original draft. And this is kind of a decent job, actually. Usually, like I may get sketches, or sometimes I may even get literally hand drawings on napkins. At times, people think at different times they could have been eating, so they want to just jot something wrote down real quick, which is fine. I accept everything as long as I can read it and it's legible. But you can see the original wasn't as unified and a bit too simplistic. The way the original was made wouldn't be for good multi-purpose use. So by adding color, the team can then identify the different groups in the writing or PowerPoint, etc. The arrows are a bit of an eyesore on the left as well. So I kind of simplified that and created a motion to give you the same effect as an arrow would. To just simplify and show connection amongst the four parts. Again, we talk about multi-purpose use. So for this, I have the text blurred just for privacy reasons with the proposal. Here's an organizational chart, as we discussed. You can see how we are using the previous graphic for multi-use purpose. It has become sort of an identifier or a logo. Here we are utilizing the same colors to coordinate with the sections of the organizational chart. Going from point A to point B, it has some structure, some names involved and some roles. So of course, those were given to me. And then with the team, we decide, who's goes on top, who reports to who, and use of colors as well to kind of keep things consistent. Each color represents a different part of the group and the logo, as we've seen on the top left and also in the previous slide. The original draft's on the left again. The three sections don't have much contrast. So kind of like if you print this out in black and white, it's not going to really be good. It kind of will just be bland. Looks a bit washed out or bland and wouldn't strike much attention on the page as well to reviewers looking at it. So on the right, I kind of made it pop out a little bit. I made the three sections stand out a bit by utilizing color and making the text clear and bold and easy to read. So again, for privacy reasons, some things are just kind of blurred out, and I use some random text for this, just for the privacy of this proposal. But on the left, you can see the graphic looks a bit dated and could be made stronger to show the unifying relationship amongst parts. On the right, again, I broke it down by color. It was able to embed images of the process they're describing, which is sort of blurred out there within the three sections that are blurred for privacy. This is another example. Actually, I'm giving you kind of more of a layout perspective and how color is being used from proposal. Again, the text is just random text for privacy reasons, but you can see here the circular one, there's four objectives. And what I did was I gave them each a color: green, blue, red, orange. They have sort of an identifier, a cover page as well. So we kind of create a logo for them. Again, with the same color scheme. There's a NASA proposal, by the way, so it's kind of a space type of thing. And then also we have this chart here, which you see often, and like there's a lot of text. They have to explain what's going on. So way we kind of like made it more interesting was they had these four objectives. So we just sort of matched each color code to the four objectives we did in a circle to kind of bring some continuity and some unification as well. It makes the chart pop a little bit, it's not just black and white and gray. We just bring in some color there to make it stand out on the page. Here's another proposal. This actually got submitted and won. So that's why you can see a little bit more text with this one. Very simple type of thing. We have the color scheme. It's like this brick orange, blue, and green and gray. So in this page, we have this graphic here that shows a process with some data there as well with numericals. Then on a different page, we had another organizational chart, which is very popular, very common in proposals. And again, you can see the kind of how we made it, unified by keeping the same color scheme. Those colors also have a bit of contrast as well, which is good. So that's kind of how we do layout and bring in colors to proposal, which, makes the page pop to get the reader's attention. Those are just some examples there. Also, I would like to go over some resources and tools to help you in case you may be working with some graphics alone or need some inspiration. I just want to leave you with some empowerment tools. So here, I had the opportunity actually to create some helpful pieces of literature. You can download these from our department's website listed above. There you'll find a PDF lookbook guide where I help walk you through some type of the most common types of proposal graphics I run into and how to determine them. Also on the site, you'll find a blog on how to conceptualize your own graphics. So be sure to take a look at that. It's a good resource. And then once you do that, definitely go and once you review my materials, you definitely want to head over to Mike Parkinson's Bullet Graphics, graphics cheat sheet. This cheat sheet is a quick but more intensive guide to even more types of proposal graphics that are available. You want to review my content as a start, as it's a bit more streamlined, so you won't be overwhelmed by Mike Parkinson, as he has a lot more examples. So definitely look at my content first, just like as a good start, and then definitely head over to graphics.com and get more insight and get even more content and data, different type of graphics that we can use in proposals. Also with colors, it can be difficult to choose a color scheme and so forth. So Adobe, which is sort of like the brand for all the creative suite that designers use mostly, to help decide on color schemes for your proposals, you use a custom color wheel that will generate different color harmony variations, or you can explore the latest trends and choose from there. The website generates a color hex code, so you can have the exact color value to use, whether you're going into Microsoft Word or PowerPoint. You'll pick colors there and it'll give you the codes to match the colors identically and exactly. Okay, so we have discussed why our graphics are a good way to enhance a proposal. We discussed what qualities make graphics to be successful in proposal. We went over some examples to visually enhance proposal graphics. And just keep in mind, we do bring in a designer. Designer kind of already done the time to learn and navigate graphic software. The time it may take for one to make graphics can sometimes be 3 times slower than it would take a designer. So you definitely want to save time if you can, if you have the resources, if you have the budget, if you qualify to bring a designer. You want to save time and stress and make your proposal more competitive. Here's just a quick schedule. So the top one is the one this PDW we're doing right now, and then these are the following couple others we have coming up on our schedule through March and April. And at this time, I can take any questions you may have for me or in the chat. We are going to also email this out. You have my contact information in the email as well to reach out to me directly. All right, I'm going to end here. Okay. Let's go over to the chat. Let's see where I started. Okay. Question, we have a simple graphic idea, have sketched out by hand. Is this something that your office can help with? This is a figure for accepted manuscript and article, okay? Yeah, definitely reach out to the email. Sometimes I do those as well, depending on time and what's going on, but I definitely can assist when needed. Yeah, proposal missing my biggest thing, but like I said, I do other things that kind of are proposal related, but not exactly like proposal graphics. So definitely reach out. I can see how I can help you with that as well. Okay, you got the URL there. Perfect. Thank you, Haley. I think that's it. Any more questions? Feel free to raise your hand or put them in the chat.
Oh, I see. Zach has his hand raised. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, Zach.
Hi. Thanks for your presentation and especially for the examples. I think that was really helpful for kind of thinking some of this through. Um, One of the things I'm thinking of with proposals is they change a lot over time as we're writing them and iterating, getting feedback and all that. And so if we're working with you to create these figures, I mean, do you tend to share like here's the source of what I created and have your coordinator go tweak these things, or should we plan to keep coming back to you and have like how do we do it so it's not going to be a huge burden to you to change 50 times or something like
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. So, once I send you like a graphic draft, it's your responsibility as a team to like go over that together. I mean, send it to you like on a Thursday morning, and I expect, revisions to be in my email Monday in a day or so, let's say. So it gives you the weekends like communicate, and then once you send me that email, it's best just to like send me everything that needs to be changed in one shot. Then I can just go in into all the files and make everything change and send you another draft back, rather than like, oh, this person will look at it and then they have to look at it and then it's another change and this is piecemeal. I don't do well with piecemealing, so this is best also to do with timing purposes. But there are times where there's like a big team and it's like a lot of people working on it and then just a ton of changes, especially with those organizational charts. People drop out, the names change. So if it's like getting close and I like see like there's like a lot of stress, I may just like, hey, here's a design file. The text changes are pretty simple for anyone to kind of like pick up and do. I'm not really too worried about giving you the file, but however, it's like something more complicated, then it's like, okay, I don't really want to give you the file, but let's work through this. And that's why I kind of also set, those timing things to meet with you early on and just to get an idea, get some questions and get some answers flowing for your team as well. Just to go from there, just to like build in a time for a cushion for those changes. But usually there's about sometimes there's no changes at all, which is good. But sometimes I do expect maybe like two or three email of changes where just like a list of changes, not just one simple, crazy thing. It's like they actually met and talked and this changes are beneficial to the proposal, not just, hey, let's make this color blue when there's some words that are wrong and stuff. So just go over that with your team. It's best to communicate that with your team just so like everyone's on the same page. So that's kind of how I handle that pretty much.
Can I ask a follow not a follow-up, a
Yeah.
separate question?
Go
So
ahead.
with thinking about like funding and your time and stuff like that. So I get that we can put you into we can ask you to help with the proposal and stuff like that, but I do a lot of like community facing work. So if I ask you to help with a proposal and then also want you to help with some of those community materials, one, is that something that's possible? And two, how do we navigate like funding that? Do I write in a portion of your time? Do we do it like consultant work? How does that work?
Yeah, sure. So sometimes I am working with like a team on proposal graphics specifically. And then also they may have a presentation with a review team or our sponsor. So a lot of times some of those graphics actually from the proposal do go into the presentation. But of course I may have to fix something, things may change. So then I assist with that. Also, a lot of times I may do proposal graphics and then also they need a cover page. So again, like it's best to just communicate that up front with me. Hey, we need help with proposal graphics, but we may also need help with the cover page for this proposal, or we may need you later on for a PowerPoint with some graphics. Sometimes I look over a PowerPoint for it and just say, hey, this is not making sense, or let's change this font. The colors aren't really clear. Let's bring in some more graphics for this. It just depends on the need pretty much and also my bandwidth. So it just depends on that. Also, cover pages I may do just communicate that with me and definitely I can either help you or give you resources or even just act as feedback. Sometimes I may be asked, hey, can you just look this over? Which is beneficial as well. So it just depends, there's some flexibility with that as well, especially if you already are working with proposal graphics with me. All right, any other questions? All right, thank you.
Okay, if there's no other questions, that'll wrap it up for this PDW. Vince, thank you so much for your time, sharing your expertise with us. I did see lots of questions about contacting us, so researchdevelopment@asu.edu, We'll get you directed to Vince and on his calendar if you have a project for him that's separate than a proposal. So just reach out to us and we'd be glad to work with you. Thank you all again for your time. Happy Tuesday.